Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to show you how to make a shore jig, be able to actually catch squid with it. So essentially you're going to want to create a jig similar to this with an assist hook at the front and a squid spike at the bottom. And what's unique about this is that you're not only going to be able to catch fish with the assist hooks, you're going to also be able to catch squid with this squid spike modification at the back. So this allows you to, unlike conventional squid jigs, where they generally sink at a slower rate. For example, a 2.5 squid jig generally sinks at a 3.5 meter per second sink rate. If you're trying to catch squid in deeper waters, such as offshore or the rock fishing from the shore, and if the squid patches, the weed patches where the squid are holding are far away, you're not going to be able to reach that with a conventional squid jig. The reason for that is that a conventional squid jig won't be able to cast as far. It actually is not very aerodynamic, and it's not as heavy as and aerodynamic as a metal jig. So you're going to be able to cast further with this metal jig with the squid spike, and you're going to be able to sink this lure and jig down deep, where a lot of the time the bigger squid are holding. They're out in the deeper pockets of the water where they can eat bigger prey. And yeah, so this is basically, I got this idea from watching commercial Japanese fishermen catch squid with metal jigs. They had actually their own specialized metal jigs with the spikes included, but I decided to test the theory here using a normal jig and just modifying it with a squid spike at the back and seeing if I can catch squid from shore with just a normal jig and casting it from shore rather than using it off the boat. And you'll see in the next couple of clips as well, I was actually quite successful from a variety of locations off the beach in an estuary as well as off the rocks. And yeah, we'll get stuck into it and I'll show you how I make this jig work. It doesn't have to be this exact jig. You can use a slow jig or any jig you like and just add the squid spike on the back. It will still catch squid and it will still work. The technique might vary as well, depending on what type of jig you're using. So if you're using a slow jig, a slower technique in shallow areas will work best. But if you're in deeper waters, a heavy jig like this that has a quick sinking rate will probably work better with a faster speed of jigging action as well. I'll show you in the clips as well. So we'll get into how to make it first. So what you're going to need is a pair of scissors with split rings. So that's important because you will need to put split rings on the squid on the jig. You also need a lighter. You also need 60-pound or size 3 medium split rings, and you also need size 4 80-pound medium split rings as well. So the reason why you'll need these split rings is that the split ring, size 4 with the 80-pound breaking strength will actually help you recover the jig if it ever gets snagged more easily. You'll be able to bend out the squid spikes so that you won't lose the jig essentially. And so that's going to sit your front of the jig, and then you're also going to need 60-pound size 3 split rings for the actual connection of the squid spike to the jig itself. So apart from that, you'll also need squid spikes. So these squid spikes you can actually get them from Coastal Fishing Tackle in Sydney, Willoughby. I'll leave a link to their website that you can get it off from, but I would be quick because they'll probably sell out these they have before. And yeah, so these will help you catch squid And you also need jigs. So I've chosen the braid jigs just essentially because it looks like a normal conventional squid jig, but it's not. It's a shore jigging jig. They use this to catch bonito pelagics anywhere, basically. I just find that the shape of the braid is quite good because it mimics an injured prawn. You can also use, as I said before, any type of jig will still work. The technique might be different, but it's the same concept and it will still work. I just like the look of these jigs. You'll also need shrink wrap. Now I've got size 4.5mm shrink wrap here, but I would try to get the bigger size, maybe a 5.5mm shrink wrap, just so that you can wrap the connection point as well as the jig itself, and it'll keep it straighter. So the trick is to have as minimal movement as possible with the squid spike, because as you can imagine, when you're jigging, this is going to move a lot. You don't want that. You want it to be straight. So when you jig your jig in the water, a squid's going to come along. If this is moving and it's bent out of shape, you're not going to be able to get a proper hook set on the squid. But if it's straight and a squid's moving in for the kill, you're going to be able to set the hook properly and snag the squid and bring home a feed. So you want it moving as minimally as possible. Here there's quite a lot of movement, however it's just enough to help me land a squid. What I want to do is keep that completely straight and locked off with the shrink tube. So make sure you get big shrink tubes, because that will help you with that. So ahead and we'll open these and we'll do the first jig. So you can get this jig at from Coastal Tackle, fishingtackle.com as well, and from their store in Sydney. They've got a website too, but yeah, so it'll come with just a single hook like this and an assist hook like this as well. I like to keep the assist hook on and then add the heavier split ring at the front, just so that I can recover the jig if it gets snagged. But I'll remove this and I'll change it for the squid spike. So essentially this is where your pliers come in, your small pliers. So make sure you're using small pliers. Small split rings, and you'll take that off, save that for later. And now you want to get your split ring, size 3 split ring. And you want to attach that to the squid spike. Let's use this one since I've already opened it. And this also comes with the shrink wrap as well included. However, this shrink wrap is quite small, so I would get the biggest shrink wrap just in case. Yeah, so what you want to do here is get your shrink wrap as well. And you want to measure it out just like that, just to see how much it's going to take in terms of shrink wrap. So that's going to be about there. So that's how much I'm going to take out. Cut it off. And you want to thread this down here, like so. And you want to get your split ring. And you want to try and get back. So this is a little bit too long. So I'm just going to cut it like that. And you want to put your split ring into the squid spikes. If you want to wear gloves, you can as well, just so you don't spike yourself. I'm kind of used to it, so I don't really feel it. And so once that's on, you'll connect the split ring to your jig. Now you can use the split ring that came with the jig as well, but I don't trust it because I don't know the breaking strength, whereas I purchased this myself and I know the exact breaking strength and how much I should give before the split ring breaks apart. So here's the tricky part. It's the sliding, so you want to slide that down. So just push forward so it's covering the split ring as much as you can. Pinch, slide it down. And now you just go pinch it and slide it down while holding the spike with your pliers or scissors here. And you want it to cover the split ring, the squid spike, as well as a little bit of the stainless steel wiring there as well, just so that you can have that extra bit of stability. And that essentially is it, but there's a final step. This is where your lighter comes in handy. You want to heat up the shrink wrap, and when you do this as well, just give it a little time to come together. And you don't want to heat it up too much, otherwise it'll break apart. Just a little bit, just enough. And that's it. That's how you make a shore jigging jig for squid. Actually, I forgot one final step, which is adding an extra split ring on so I can connect that to my main line via a solid ring to my leader. And it just allows me to swap out the jigs without having to retie as well. And generally for like a 60-gram jig like this, I will be using P3 or 4 setup. So it's like with a 6,000 size reel or 8,000 size reel with a medium heavy rod or a heavy rod, and jigging deep water, generally about between, well, over 15 meters of water. I would be using a 60-gram jig for squid and for pelagics. And that's essentially it. One detail here to note is that my assist hooks are sitting above the head of the jig. So it's not on this side and not on this side. And when you connect your line to the split ring here by a solid ring, this is going to prevent the assist hook from swaying back down here. And then I find this actually avoids quite a lot of snags. So if you're snagging quite a lot, try to have the assist hook above the head of where your jig's going to sit in the water, because your jig's going to sit here. Here's the bottom. It's going to fall down here, and the assist hook is going to be dangling above its head. So and then as soon as it hits the bottom, that's when you jig, and you're going to completely avoid any snags having this configuration of cis hooks as well. I find it might be different for different people, but I find it helps quite a bit. If it's on the bottom here and your cis hook, there's a lot higher chance of your jig snagging the bottom if your cis hooks are sitting on the belly of your jig rather than on the head at the top of the jig. Just a little detail. But that's essentially it. That's how you turn a shore jigging jig into a squid jigging jig from the shore. Alright, I'm here at the local, just using my light setup, and we've got a 20-gram jig that's been modified with squid spikes, slow jig. Just hoping in case I run into some squid, yeah, we'll be able to get them. So here we go. So how I work this is just jerk a few times, there's a long in, and there's a lot of current. It is a squid. Yes! Knew could resist this jig. Oh. Yeah, boy. There you go. Mission accomplished. Arrow squid there. Yep. On again. Another squid. Oh. Oh no. Oh. Pulled the hook on him. Come on, come back. Oh, that was definitely a squid. It was very close. Oh. Oh, definitely a squid. Oh.
jigging it and then letting the line sink. And as soon as the line straightens out, that's when I start jigging again. Just gives it time to sink and time for the squid to catch up and hit the jig. Traditionally with a squid jig you have to work it slowly, but because you're using a metal jig in such a shallow area, you gotta keep it moving, you gotta keep it working fast. Even though I'm using a slow jig to slow down the sinking rate, the action is quite fast, as you can see, just so that I can get a reaction with the squid and also not snag on the bottom when I'm spending too much time on the bottom. Keep at this and see if we can get one. Oh, there's one right there. There's one right there. Yes! Oh! Come on. Oh, just loosen the drag up. Just so I don't pull hooks on him. Come on. Oh. Walk it back. Slowly reaching it. Yes. Oh, there we go. Squid number 2. One thing to note here is how I work the jig. When I stop jigging, I'm actually letting it sink with tension. This just ensures that the jig is slowly fluttering down towards me, not vertically sinking down. And you'll see just in a sec how effective this will be. I think it's a squid. Yeah, I've got a modified jig with a squid spike, so I think it's a squid. Yeah, I think it's a decent squid. Yeah, squid. Yeah, it works. Yeah, the modified jig works. Oi. There you go. Woo! Lift in the water, let it squirt out. Yeah, well, there you go. Modified jig squid. Yeah, you can cast really far and then you can get into where the squid are, down deep. Yeah, so it's the Metalmaru, but the same concept works with any jig. Really? You just put them like a split ring, connect it via split ring, and then you put shrinking wrap on it and heat it up, and it shrinks and it keeps it straight.
And then how do you jig it?
just like a normal jig.
Oh, but they what? Slow, I guess.
Yeah, so you jig it up and you let it sink. I do like 3 to 7 like vertical jerks, and then you let it sink and you keep it near the weed bed at the bottom.
On the drop, right?
Yeah, they hit it on the drop.
Oh, real? That's so innovative. Well done.
Another squid. Oh, I think I pulled hooks on it. Oh yeah, I pulled hooks on it. Oh dang. Come back. Maybe I should have it. Oh, bro, look how big this squid would have been.
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit. Sluggo. Holy shit. Yeah, I think that's a squid. Finally. I don't want to pull hooks on him though.
Fish tank.
I keep catching those. Come on. Oh. Woo! Big squid.
Oh, that is a monster.
Modified squid jig. Does it again. Hey!